Good day, everybody. Welcome to ADF's webinar for solving internet crimes against children. My name is Rich Frawley. I'm the digital forensics specialist here at ADF Solutions. Prior to coming here to ADF, I spent 22 years in law enforcement, 17 of those years as a forensic examiner and investigator involved with our ICAC and also standalone unit doing work for several other departments here in the great state of Connecticut. I want to thank you all for coming, taking your time out today to join us. I'm going to go over a little bit about our company. I am going to get into handling child exploitation cases on scene and go through a couple of the prerequisites needed before you go out and serve a search warrant. And then I'll get into the use of the tool and how we can use Digital Evidence Investigator to take all that information that you may have, put it to work for you to solve your cases. A little bit about ADF. We've been around over 10 years. Our technological foundations is rooted in forensic triage. The early years were spent creating software specifically for image identification and analysis in child exploitation cases. So that's where our main grab always has been. And as you see at the tool a little bit later, it really is geared for putting these cases together for you and making things easier for you. Sorry about not doing that. Along the way, the image identification for child exploitation cases turned into a little bit better in the analysis. We started getting into more systems. We started getting to Linux, Apple, OS X. We can examine just about any digital device you come across. We're able to scan your forensic image files, your EO1s, your DDs, and such. Moving through, we added more artifacts. We do all different types of file collections now. It's not just image identification. We really have become a really good forensic suite for putting things together. Up to over 10,000 users now. In forensic kiosks around the world, and also we have the logical iOS and Android hitting very soon. As we're going along today and going through with the tool, just want to let you know you are free to use the chat box to enter any questions that we may have, and I will get to those towards the end of the webinar. Just an example of some of the clients we have around the world. We are global. So let me get into what we're doing, okay? Why we're here, and what we're kind of going to be talking about. So digital forensics is ever evolving. I've been doing this since 1999, 2000. I learned on DOS. Some might call me a dinosaur, but I've moved along with the times. I know that it's ever evolving. Things are changing. We need to get to that evidence faster. You guys are going out on scene now and encountering mass amounts of data, mass amounts of evidence, cell phones, laptops, desktops, SD cards, micro SD cards, old hard drives stuck in a corner. And with all that coming in, you need to get to that evidence that's going to be relevant. You want to get to what's going to help you solve your case. And along those lines, 90% of your cases could be solved with 10% of the data, okay? So if we can get to that 10% with a uniqueness in your case, try to get you to that 10% so you can solve your case. Because we all know not all cases are deep dive worthy. If you've been doing this for a while, if you go through, your evidence is up front, you can get it, you could put your case together, and it could be pled out or completed before you even get to your forensic examination. But that's not saying that all cases aren't, okay? There are cases that are deep dive worthy. Please don't take it any other way. I understand that. I've done plenty of deep dive cases. So just to say, all of them aren't, there are cases where you go in, you find exactly what you need, and you're able to move on with your case. A lot of the child exploitation cases can be solved, but we all know the computer still has to go up the line for that due diligence, looking for first generation images and making sure no victim is put on the evidence shelf, that everything is found. So triage, it's become an accepted practice throughout most of the industry. It's the first step in the investigative process. It's getting to that low-hanging fruit, collecting your RAM, all that volatile data, basic artifact collection. And what this does is it helps you reduce that backlog, help you make those decisions on scene. If you could scan a computer, get that low-hanging fruit and say, yeah, we're in the right place, we got the right guy. You put that together with your interviews and your interrogations, that good old-fashioned police work, because that's still, even though it's a computer crime, even though it's digitally involved, this still takes good old-fashioned police work to put it all together. You reduce the amount of devices you bring back. So you go on scene, you do some triage, you're at the bad guy's house, you served your warrant, you got his computer, you got the things out of his room, but now he has a spouse or she has a spouse, and there's kids, and they usually have laptops with all their schoolwork on it, and doing triage on scene will help you leave some of that behind. Pat yourself on the back for being the good law enforcement officer, taking the time to scan their computer and leaving it behind. Saves you a lot of headache, saves the court a lot of headache, and it also saves the kids who were most likely innocent and unknowledgeable about this a lot of time. So if you up that, if you say, yeah, I'm on scene, I'm doing the low-hanging fruit triage, but I'd really like to put a little more into it. I'd like to not only have, there's contraband, I'm going to take the computer and I'm going to make my arrest. In that same day, I'd also like to say, yeah, there's contraband. Yeah, I got him to confess. But I'd also like to be able to put in my report that day that he opened the file, that he downloaded the file, where it came from, that it was manipulated, that it wasn't something that he's going to try to put up a front for. The virus did it, or something like that. I'd like to have that. I'd like to turn it into an on-scene investigation instead of a triage, so to say. I'd like to have the report build throughout the process. So when I go back from the search warrant and I'm sitting at my desk, I don't need to do a lot of post analysis, post search analysis. I don't need to put it all together after the fact. I don't need to then go through and do further analysis and spend the next half of the day putting it together. I'd like it done as I'm doing it. Up to the minute report. I go back, make a couple clicks on the computer, print out a report, hand it to the prosecutor. When he goes to court the next day, here's his report. Saves you a lot of time, helps you put the case to bed a lot earlier. And we all know this could take weeks and months to get to this point, okay? To get to the location, to get to the suspect. There could have been using multiple devices. They could have been using proxy servers. Those could always be an issue. Thinking out of the box is essential. Think about how you're going to get information on somebody that's using a proxy server. It takes you a while to figure out that, first, where the proxy server is. Is it something you're going to be able to serve paper on? If I serve paper on them, how long do they hold this information? Those are all the types of things that you're going to have to go through to get there. Refreshing stale information. When we talk about cyber tips, sometimes by the time it gets to the person who's going to investigate it, it could be, a month old or a month or more old. So you want to make sure that the information that's in there is relevant and not stale. That you refresh your information and make sure you're getting to the right place. And that's with service of your court orders in a timely manner. Making sure your IP addresses are correct, especially when you're going to write paperwork and you're typing it from one paper to another, make sure you're not transposing any of those numbers. Very important that you get to the right location, right? And any digital case I usually worked on, my last bullet point here is keep the case quiet, never let them see you coming. And I used to tell this all the time. I used to be able to speak to classes, go to the high schools and talk to the students and stuff. And I always told them, I says, listen, if you ever see me standing on your front porch ringing your doorbell, it's too late. You're already caught. So that's the thing. If they know you're coming, if you've tried to do an interview with them prior, all your evidence can go bye-bye. So always nice. Keep that case quiet. Never let them see you come and surprise them. Cyber tips. I'm going to go over a little bit about that, just because a lot of our cases stem from that. And there's just some things in there that I believe are important, and these come right from the cyber tips. These are the little disclaimers that they put in there. And you see, NCMEC does not investigate and cannot verify the accuracy of the information reported to NCMEC. NCMEC forwards reports child sexual exploitation to law enforcement for purposes of investigation and disposition. Right? So that's put on us. You need to refresh your evidence. You need to make sure that what we're telling you is the truth. It's your job to investigate it, right? Further in their cyber tips, under no circumstances shall this report be used as evidence of a criminal wrongdoing. Right, this paper is going to go to the side. It was your lead, it was your tip, it was somebody whispering in your ear, but you're going to take all that information to put together the case on your own. The definitions that they give you for what an identified child is, the recognized hash value and unrecognized hash values, and they all say it right there. It may or may not be child pornography. That's up to you and your jurisdiction. They have no information. Identified child, you always think, yep, that's an identified child. It's child pornography. It's contraband. They can't have it. Correct. But some of those images don't constitute child pornography. So we got to make sure and verify what we have when they send it. And again, the unrecognized ones, again, may or may not be images associated with child pornography. And then their classifications, it says, yep, this is child pornography, but it's unconfirmed files not reviewed by NCMEC. So it's up to you to make sure that when you're starting your cases, that's done. So it's kind of your upfront stuff. Let me just step back here. All right, in your cyber tips, and with what they're giving you, these are all their disclaimers as it goes through. But cyber tips are chock full of unique information. That information that you can put it all together. It's everything that you're putting into your search warrants, your IP addresses, your usernames, your email addresses, date and times of uploads, file name of the files that they sent you, hash values of the files that they sent you, who was the reporting party? Was it Tumblr? Was it Google? Was it Instagram? Was it actually right before I retired? I had a case that was done on Twitter, believe it or not, and just with direct messages between people. Probably one of the last internet service providers I ever thought I'd be doing a cyber tip on or getting one from, but it's out there and you do it. But that's all unique information that you could take and put into your case. So what we're going to do is try to put this all together now and show you how it can work. So scanning the digital devices. These are all the devices that we are going to encounter out on scene, right? Your drive images, your external drives, SD cards, USB, DVDs and such. These are all the things we're going to encounter. So the way our tool works is, it works a couple ways. Back at the lab, if you are just a bagger and a tagger, and you bring it back and you don't do any on-scene investigations, triage, that's fine. If you bring it back to the lab, you could take these, right, connect it through your right blocker, and then run it through the tool off your forensic workstation. We do dead box, we do attach drives. If your policy is to image first and then do it, we can also scan those images as well. So that's the first way to use it. The second way is you got your unique information, you're going to put together, you're going to take it out on scene and do an on-scene investigation or a triage. So the next thing to do would to be set up what's called a collection key. And that would be a USB device that is going to run our program. You're going to tell it what to look for. It's going to go through the computer, grab what you've asked it to grab, put it on that collection key for you. So from your forensic machine, you would set up this USB device or this collection key, and you can boot to it. So you go in, the computers are off, you have a Mac or you have a Linux machine or a Windows machine. You would put in the USB device and boot to it and run the scan from there. Now, it's based on Windows, so you're going to get into most Windows machines without having to go in and change the BIOS. You should be able to go to the single boot key, boot right to it. Or you can go in, change the BIOS, make sure that it boots to the disk first, the USB device first, and then run it from there. Same with Macs. You can go in, tell the Mac to boot to that device, and also with a Linux box as well. The second way would be to run that USB, prepare that USB device, plug it into a live Windows machine, one that's up and running when you're on seed, which is typically what happens. And we don't want to shut it down right away because we're worried about encryption, what's on the screen. Document all that, plug in the USB device. There's a start icon on there. You would click the start icon, and ADF comes up and starts running, and it does a live scan. And I'm going to show you what you're going to be able to get out of those. So that's the three ways basically you could use the tool. There's also flexible licensing with it, which means you can prepare multiple USB devices to take on scene and scan every computer on scene at the same time with one license. So you don't need to have 7 licenses to do 7 computers. You would start all the scans and then just introduce the license, and the scan would start. Move on to the next computer, introduce the license, the scan would start. So you'd be able to move through it just like that. Like I said, Windows, Mac, Linux, and coming in hopefully the next month, we're going to have logical Android and iOS. So if you do have a laptop on scene if you bring one out with our tool on it, you would be able to plug in those devices you have access to and do a scan right then and there to check the phones. Just a quick how we can be customized, a quick summary of that. So we can set it to do fast triage. So that's where you're going to go on and in a couple of minutes, within 5 minutes, have all those artifacts that you typically want in every case, your application usage, installed applications, USB devices, connection logs, browsing history, browsing downloads, browsing search terms, operating system info, peer-to-peer, all that. And then low-hanging fruit, child exploitation keywords against file names and folder names, all done within 5 minutes. But it could also be customized to do any variety all the way up until a comprehensive everything from everywhere, including carving within hours, depending on the system you're running on and the system you're running it against. So with that, if you're not carving, you could probably take half of that time off. So on a nice beefy forensic machine that you're running it on, against a typically used computer with pictures and videos, you could probably have it done in anywhere 1.5 hours to 3 hours, have your information and be analyzing it and moving your case forward. For those of you later, I usually show this at the end, but if you wanted a 30-day free trial of the tool, it's tryadf.com. And there's my information. I'll leave that up for a couple of seconds for you. If anybody wanted to write that down, I am going to shoot out a poll here. Just see how these work. just to get an idea from everybody out there, what your current job is, if you're a forensic examiner, investigator, or other, just so I kind of know who I'm talking with out there. All right, looks like we have majority of investigators out there, and good chunk of examiners, and just a couple others. But nice to see you all. Nice to talk to you all, and thanks for taking that first poll. All right. So we have our unique information. I kind of went through really quick on the precursors to it, what you're looking for. We know how to get there. We resolved our IP addresses. We're going to make our search warrant and go out to the house. This tool is very easy to use, very intuitive. Once you've brought keyword lists and hash lists in, they're there to stay, so you don't have to do this every time. But when you turn it, when you install it and open it, this is the first page you're going to get. This is on your forensic machine. So a typical workflow would be, I have my unique information. I want to make a scan to go out into the field and collect my unique information and put this case together. So the first place I would go to is to set up scans. And in here, we have what I call default out-of-the-box search profiles, which come with the program. So you can see up on top, we have a quick IPOC. The IPOC stands for Indecent Pictures of Children. So that's a low-hanging fruit, indecent picture of children search profile that we've prepared for you that you could run that is unique to the child exploitation cases, but not unique to your case. We also do intermediate. Again, the indecent pictures of children, that's child exploitation. It's a little more than low-hanging fruit. That's more of your on-scene investigation. It's going to give you more information in your hands to make decisions. Both quick and intermediate are targeted at the user profiles, and that's why they're going to run fast. They're going to go into the user profiles, the quick ones, run those keyword searches against file names and folder names for all those child exploitation keywords, the Hussy Fan, PTHC, age categories, Lolita, LS series, all that you typically see in every case, and give you low-hanging fruit, plus all the artifacts you typically want. Intermediate is going to do the same thing. It's going to go into the user profiles, do that, but it's also going to collect the pictures and videos, and then it's going to match a default hash set that's in here that contains about 400,000 hashes of child exploitation material. So that's going to give you a lot of information too. And you can see here's some custom ones that I've made myself, and then we have comprehensive. So comprehensive, you're not going to run on scene. It's an everything from everywhere. These are the ones that are going to take a couple hours to run, but it's geared at indecent pictures of children. And in a couple of hours, you can have a scan done with everything from everywhere. You could put it on a portable viewer for an investigator to start going through, combing through, doing preservation orders, search warrants, and everything that same day within hours. And you don't have to worry about days getting to your information or starting your case. But backtracking a little bit, I have my unique information that I pulled out of my cyber tip, and I want to go out on scene and serve a search warrant and scan any computers that may be on scene. So knowing that I'm going to want some information, I'm going to want my case to keep going, I'm going to run an intermediate here. And what I could do is copy it by hitting copy here. If I wanted to start from scratch, I could start new profile, and I'll show you the difference. When I copy this, it shows me everything that this is looking for that is checked off. So it's looking for anti-forensic traces. That's your CC cleaners, your Veracrypts, your TrueCrypts, any programs of such used for anti-forensics. Between anti-forensics, application usage, and installed applications, between those three, you should pretty much know if they're using it, if it's been installed, and when the last time they used it probably was. It's set to parse through peer-to-peer, right? So your eMule, Shiraza, GigaTribe, uTorrent, BitTorrent, it's going to parse out all that. There's some other things here, like if you think they're involved in Bitcoin, you could turn on the Bitcoin or it's cryptocurrency traces is actually the new name of this. You can see all the other things. It's going through Skype calls, emails, messaging, contacts, your connection logs, right? OS information, and your USB history. USB history is usually run in the first minute. So you can start the scan and start telling everybody all the USB devices that have been logged on this machine is being inserted, so they know what they're looking for. Now you know if you're looking for maybe micro SD cards, phones, maybe some kind of other external device that may have been attached that isn't attached to it right now. Kind of gives you that heads up on what you're looking for, what you're searching for. Here's all our indecent pictures of children captures that we give you. So here it's going to run that 400,000 hash values, and there's the keywords. All right, and then again, browser history and such. All this is turned on in this scan. That's what you're asking it to get. That's what it's going to go collect for you, and again, in minutes. There's also another one here called Save Credentials that could only be run on a live machine. You can, if the machine is off and you boot to it, you just won't get any results. It will only work, I should say, on a live machine. And that pulls all the usernames and passwords from the browsers. Great information to continue your case for preservation orders and search warrants in that same day. So you're beating him to the punch instead of him being able to have an attorney or a friend or somebody go in and start deleting those accounts. So I've copied this, and now I have my specific information that I want to add to this case, right? So I can create a new capture, and here's where I'm going to bring in my unique keywords and my unique hash values. And if I was looking for specific types of files, we can also do that. It's a little more than we're going to do today, but by learning these two here, the collect files will be second nature. First thing I'm going to start with is the hash sets. So you have your own hash sets that you want to bring in. If it was a cyber tip, let's say Tumblr sent you 100 images, and you want to hash those and bring them in and search for them on scene. So we would go into search for files by hash, and what I did was we had all those capture groups, and I created one called hash sets. I'm going to put it in there, and I'm going to give it a unique name. This capture will be my cyber tip hashes. So like I said, Tumblr sent me 100 images. I have them sitting in a folder. I can go over here to my toolbar where it says add files. It'll point it at that folder that has those images in it. I select the folder, and what the tool does is says, hey, there's files in here. I'm going to hash them for you, but when you're doing your scan, if I find these files, do you want me to bookmark them or tag them for you? And if you're doing child exploitation and you're going along the lines of the Project Vic categorization, with your 1 being child abuse material, 2 exploitation, 3 anime, so on and so forth, I could say, yeah, I know these are child exploit or these are child abuse material. Select the number 1, and I could also put in a comment if I want for cyber tip. I hit OK. It hashed the files that are in there for me and brought those in. So now there's 16 hash values that it's going to look for. But I have my own list of hashes that I want to bring in as well. Maybe it wasn't the images from Tumblr, but I have some other ones that I like to look for. Maybe I had some other devices Maybe there's some specific images of a victim or something, you know, but if you have your own list you want to bring in, you can point it at a CSV or text file that has those hash values in it and bring those in. So you can see this list had 168 and it took duplicates out. I already had 3 of those hash values in there, so it didn't bring them in again. And I hit OK. I can also set that CSV to tell the tool to automatically bookmark as well. And then the third way to bring in your hashes is your project Vic. You could point it at your Vic's data. So if you're going on scene and you happen to have just your category 1 JSON file, you could point it at that, hit open, and now it's going to import those values as well. No need to tell it to bookmark or tag it. It's automatically going to categorize it for you. So if you just brought in the category 1s, it's going to tag those as level 1 for you as you move along. So now I have 286 hashes that I brought in. And you can see that the button down the bottom lights up. It says next. Here's where I tell the system what I'm looking for, that these hashes are of pictures. So it's only going to run these hashes against pictures and videos. So I choose that. I want to collect them. So if it finds it, it's automatically going to take it and put it on my collection key and make it part of my report. I'm going to identify the pictures that I'm collecting or that I'm going to run the hashes against. I'm identifying it over here either by fast identification, which is file extension only. And if you're on scene, it's going to be this one or the second one, which is, it's a fast identification, but if it comes across the file that doesn't have a file extension, it will do a header analysis on it or file signature analysis and determine what type of file it is. It's still fast. It does not take a long time. Your last choice is a thorough file identification for all the files on the system. That's a comprehensive everything from everywhere. I wouldn't be running that on scene if time is an issue. So I would typically use number 2. When I'm collecting pictures and matching the hashes, I'm going to look inside of archives. I'm going to look inside of documents, so anything embedded in a document, and PictureDB files. And I actually had a case, speaking about embedded documents, where the guy was downloading all his child pornography and placing it in Word documents, naming the Word documents like they were short stories and saving them on thumb drives. So we had like 7 or 8 thumb drives just filled with documents. But when we ran the scan against it, of course, all the pictures came out. So you just never know. It's kind of one of the things I miss. It's a front row seat to the show, you know, pick up your popcorn and watch these people try to get away with stuff. So once I've got that now, the pictures, the videos, where I'm looking for it, now I can target. Here's where I was talking about targeting the user profiles. So I could go into my targeted folders. We already have it in here for you. There's the path to the users or documents and settings on a Windows machine. Just about any machine, this will get you into the user profiles. You hit OK, and now I've targeted that. A couple more choices here, and this is where we're putting our case together in the background as we move along. We have this files referenced by artifact records. So what that does is if it finds a picture or video and it matches a hash, what it's going to do, if it came in through a peer-to-peer, a message, an email, or a download, and also has has a recent file entry in an MRU, a jump list, or a link file, it's going to link all that together for you automatically. So you're not only going to see, here's the picture of contraband, but hey, it came in through a download and there's recent file links for it. So it was opened, or there's an MRU or a jump list link for it. And I'm going to show you that in a couple minutes. It's really, really cool. You could also do deleted files, and then there's carving. But again, if I'm going on scene, you know, I want this quick identification, and I'm going to target folders because that's typically where our evidence is going to be. I'm going to want it to put all those relevant artifacts together for me, and I'm going to look for deleted. That's going to be a recycle bin, orphan files, and such. Once that's done, I save it. It brings me back into my search profile, and you can see here's the CyberTip hash set that I just brought in. You can also see that there's other ones that I brought in previously. So if I wanted to, if they're already in here, all I would need to do is check that. And now that's part of my search profile as well. If it's a one and done, I'm never going to use this hash list again. You can delete it after the profile, after the search warrant. You come back in here and delete it and give yourself some more room. Same with keywords. You can see I have my keywords over here. These are some other lists that I brought in, but we're going to make our own list again. We'll go in to the same place, go to search for keywords. I'm going to put it in my keyword category, and then again, give it the CyberTip and maybe the CyberTip number that it was. A couple of different ways to bring in your keywords. I can type them in by myself, one by one. If I think it's unique enough, I can automatically tag it or bookmark it. So what that means is, again, my images are probably going to be 1, 2, and 3. But if I thought this was unique enough, I could put a tag or a bookmark on it of maybe a higher level, 7, 8, or 9. And then I could put a comment for it. And if you're working with languages, and you may have a foreign language keyword list you bring in, you could use the auto comment as the translation of the word, something like that. Many different uses. So I'm just going to clear that list. I can import a keyword list that I may have already in CSV or text format. You say I brought in 5 keywords, and these would be unique to my case. I'm not going to put in something that's going to get me false positives. I want it to be unique enough that I'm not going to have all that false positives to go through. And how we're going to do that is, one, unique items. So your IP address, absolutely. Maybe you have some victim names, that's not John or Smith, or something that's going to give you a lot of false positives, something unique. Maybe you're looking for a trader's name, maybe the username or the beginning of a email address, and then maybe the suspect's username as well. Once you have your keywords in, there's 2 choices here that I would choose it just about every time. They're fast, they're seamless, they don't add any time to your searching. It's going to run them against file and folder names. And then as we parse out all those records, so your internet history, your USB history, and all those other artifacts we talk about, it runs the keywords against those at the same time. Really fast, seamless, doesn't add a lot of time. The middle one here, file content and metadata, right? So what am I going to run these keywords against? I could run it against everything on the system, or I can pick and choose. I want to run it against all the documents, maybe the internet files, and maybe text files. And just like with the hashes, right, how am I going to identify the documents, internet files, and text files? That's that, fast identification. Here, I might just look in archives. I'm already looking in documents for keywords. I'm not going to look in documents for embedded documents necessarily. But if you wanted to, you can check that and then picture DB. And again, do I want to target? And if I'm still going unseen for a search warrant, I would select those. And now looking for those 5 keywords in these types of files, that type of identification, looking inside archives, targeting the folders, and referencing any of those documents that have been found with the keywords, it will try to link artifacts for me. And then I would hit OK. The last thing, these are regular keywords, so they're going to run substring, and I'm going to collect the files. We can do, and we do regular expression keywords. So if you have keywords looking for credit cards, IP addresses, social security numbers, if you have those regexes, you can bring those in and run those as well. You just got to make sure you change it here. And then hit save. and bang, there we are. Now I have my keywords, my unique keywords, and my hash sets. You know, it took me 10 minutes or so, maybe 15 minutes to walk through this step by step. It may take you that amount of time the first time you do this to remember and bring this stuff in, or using the user guide, or after training. But once you've done this a couple times, and once you have some lists and hashes in, it's bang, bang, bang. I want to go out on scene. I'm going to run my intermediate. I'm going to add this hash set, these keywords, and maybe I'm going to do my save credentials. And you're going to give it a name up on top. That's the name of my profile, and I'm going to save it. A couple more choices here if I wanted to add any fields when I'm doing the scan, such as officer's name, case number, such. I could add fields. A couple more choices here about files that it encounters that may be protected. It will collect those, and then we move on. And now I'm back to my library, and there's my custom cyber tip profile that we just made. I can export this, send it to somebody else who has the same tool, and they could import it. So if you're working on a task force, we have a couple task force around that they all, one guy creates the profiles, emails it to the other members on the team, they import it into their tools, make their keys, so when they hit the house or they do the search warrant, everybody's on the same page, everybody's running the same profile against the computers. That's available. You can delete it, you can copy it, you can edit it. So once we've created it, you would go to prepare collection key, plug in the USB device that you're going to prepare to take out into the field. Maybe I'm going to take my quick, I'm going to take my intermediate, and I'm going to take my custom one. I could put as many profiles onto that device as I want, and I'm going to choose the key that I'm going to prepare. Once I've done that, I hit prepare. It now takes that USB device, it makes it bootable, it sets it up so it could be run live, and it sets up a user partition that will save all the collected files during the scan. Once that's prepared, for those of you that aren't going out on scene, let's say you did bag and tag and you brought it back, you would go into scan devices and images here, choose the device that's connected to your machine. You can see here I have an external drive. I would choose the partition. I would choose my custom profile, and I would change my name up here to what I wanted and scan it. Or I could bring in, like I said earlier, EL1 files as well. If I had a partition or an external drive that I connected and I had an EL1 I wanted to scan, I could do that at the same time as well. No need to do those one at a time. For taking it out into the field, all right, let me shut this down. And while I'm just setting up here for a second, let me give you another poll, because I tend to talk too much and forget to send you guys some polls. So what do you think about this? Triage is it accepted practice? You see arguments about it all the time, discussions, I don't want to say arguments, debates. You know, and I've been doing this for years, and people have been doing it as long as me are sometimes called dinosaurs because they don't want to change. But, oh, I see we may have had a sound loss. Hopefully it's back. Thank you for that. Oh, we got 100% true on that. Thank you very much for answering that poll. Let me give you one more while I set up my next tool. And just out of curiosity, the percent of child exploitation cases that you are doing in a year. What do we got? All right. We got about 40% less than 25%. You got about 30% of you that's 75% or more, which is where I used to be about, and you got about 17% with 50% or more. And that's about typical. That sounds about right. Again, thank you for the polls. Yeah, let me close this out again. Let me open up my file explorer. So you're on scene, and let me get rid of that poll. So you're on scene. You now take that collection key and plug it into the computer that's up and running, or if it's off, you're going to boot to it, but I really can't show you the boot on here. So I'm going to show you a live scan. You would go to the USB device. There's a start icon for you to start, and it's going to start up the program for you to run. When, just like any other tool that does triage that runs live, when you plug in a USB device, Windows makes changes, okay? When you execute a program, Windows makes changes. We can't stop that, and we don't claim to stop that. We have it documented in our user guide as best we can on what changes do get made. But once you are running from here, you've started this device, and in this version of the tool that we're showing, and somebody had asked the question, is version 1.3 the latest? It is. I think it's 1.3.1 is the latest, and within the next month we should have 1.4 out. When 1.4 comes out, it's going to automatically start to this screen, and you can select this button to create RAM dump, and it's going to automatically start collecting the RAM for you. So very simple. Start it up, comes to the screen, create RAM dump. Once that is done, in a couple of minutes, you go into scan computer, and now this is everything that's attached or on your target computer, your suspect's computer. Pick and choose what you want to scan, depending on time. If you're looking at his operating system partition, and if you see one that says, child exploitation material, my porn, whatever, you can choose that as well. You would select the profile that you wanted to run it against. Let me just do this real quick. Choose the profile that you want to run. You can change the name of it, the scan, and then you would hit scan. So now I'm on the target machine. You can see everything here that I've asked it to collect. You can see it running and parsing out all those files. This is great for knock and talks because it's already made a file listing of everything on the computer for me. It started parsing out all these artifacts. In a couple minutes or a couple seconds, you're going to see it's going to start collecting the images across the top. So very quick to get running. If it's a knock and talk, you can hide that so nobody can see it. This one was designed to run fast, so it's already done. But everything that you've collected up to that point, let's say you are halfway through a scan and the guy says, you know what, I don't want you scanning my computer anymore. Everything that you've asked for, everything that you collected is on that key. So stopping the scan isn't going to be an issue. There's no further analysis that needs to be done at that point. You can unplug the key, stick it in your pocket, and you're good to go. And if you saw a picture come across the top that was one of the ones you wanted, you're going to take the computer anyways. Great for probation parole too, that doesn't have to worry about that. They just go in, very quick to run, doesn't keep you on scene long. So once I do my scan on scene, I can review results. I can go through and look at all the pictures, videos, and such. But what I'm going to do here is just bring us back to the other version because it's all the same. And I'm going to try to wrap this up here with showing you how quick it is to review results. So I've gone back, I did my scan. I can go into my tool and look at my results. And here's a scan I did earlier. Now this is a typical user partition. on a computer. It was 60 gigs in size. It collected 6,400 files and it ran in 9 minutes. In those 9 minutes, I had 352 hits on my keywords. My hash sets collected 41 files here and 32 there, and it automatically tagged in my level 1 73 files. So as this was running, I saw these tag levels going up. I saw my keywords in the user profile going up, my keywords and file names going up, and my cyber tip unique stuff going up. So I knew I had the right computer. So now that I have it, analysis is very simple. So for this case, you're going to see pictures of canines. Canines are considered contraband in this case. Anything that's been tagged has a number 1 up in the top. Anything that was a hit on a keyword or a hash value has this little red magnifying glass in the lower right-hand corner. So I can go over to filter, right? I can tell it I don't want to see everything I've tagged already, but I do want to see everything that's a match. So right away, I have these pictures that haven't been bookmarked yet that are definitely contraband because these are showing me it was a hit on a keyword. So I can go in here, select all these images. I know they're contraband. I could tag them as a number 1, turn off my matches, and now my tags are still filtered out, and here's the work I have left to do. It's that simple to go through. One more thing I wanted to show you in this part is, I need to find my bulldog. There he is. So I have this picture of the bulldog, and I was telling you about referenced files earlier. So I have this picture of the bulldog. I could see its path here. If I wanted to see if there was anything else in the path, I could take it right to the path, and it's the only picture that's in there. But I have these linked artifacts down here. I can see it came in through a download. So I could click on that download history, and it'll show me that record that we've collected for downloads. I can see all the recent entries. So I have a link file, maybe an MRU, and maybe a jump list. I also have this last written time. If I click on that, it takes me to a timeline. So this timeline is all the artifact records, individual records, and all the individual files that I've collected put into one timeline. And it kind of shows you what this user was doing around the time this image was saved. So there's the last written time of the bulldog. And if you look back, the browser URL was visited, the download was started, it was completed, the link file was created, and here's some more browsing that was done. So you can almost see his whole session and his mind process there. With everything that every table you go into, there's a filter. You can filter this timeline by all sorts of different activities and really put your case together to show somebody's mindset, or put together. Then they say it wasn't me that did it, but you can show that they were going into their banking websites and downloading this and downloading that. That helps put it together. So there was the pictures. Another thing with pictures and with the filters, I'm talking about all these filters. First generation, that's very big. You get on scene, you find a camera, you're thinking maybe he's taking pictures. We collect all the EXIF data, but we also let you sort about that. So I can go into camera serial numbers, and if any have been collected, I could filter those and then see, hey, I've got a picture of contraband here that was taken with this camera, this serial number. And that's another thing. Hey guys, take a look for this as you're searching the house. Very important to have. And other various ways, also dates and times, makes, coordinates. So if you're talking about positional, where he was taking the pictures, you'd be able to see those pictures that have GPS location in that as well. Videos, very big when you're going through it. Again, these are hits on keywords or hash values, and most of these you can see are like, there's hussy, so that was a keyword hit on that. With videos, we all know they collect them. We all know there's always too many and that we have to look at them. So what we do is we collect frames for you as well. So first frame, last frame, 48 from in between. You could set it on the first video, arrow down through your videos, and get a pretty good idea of what this person's been looking at or what's in those videos. And then if there's something you think is in the middle of that video that you need to look at further, you can always go to the preview tab and preview that video as well. We have all our keywords. The listing of all the file and folders on the computer is here. You can also do in-scan searches for specific information if you've come across information that you haven't put into your scan prior. You can go to each individual record that you've collected and look at all your information, if network information was important, your browsing history. Let's come down here, browsing history. Again, these are going to have those keyword hits. So if there was a keyword in this URL, it would light up and show you that as well, and many different ways to filter, especially if they're using multiple browsers. You can go and filter by a specific browser if you wanted to break it down even further. Reporting, very easy. I was talking about building these reports in the background. So everything that we've tagged in this case is, let me just drag this out of the way here. Excuse me. That off scene. So I've opened this up. We have HTML, CSV, and a standalone portable viewer. So that portable viewer is, it will take this entire scan that you did, put it out into a portable viewer that you can put on a USB device and hand off to somebody else to do. So not to do, but to analyze. So you maybe as an examiner go out and do a scan for somebody, you know, you're out there to do it. You could put it on a portable viewer, give it to them to take over to another computer that's in the lab and start doing their analysis on their own. So they're able to do the analysis, keep the case going, do their preservation orders, do their search warrants while that computer is sitting waiting for a deep dive or a due diligence. I'm going to launch with that one more poll before I just finish up here on reporting. Nope. Desktop. 100%. That's awesome, guys. Gals, thank you. All right. I am also off on another screen just trying to open up a report for you. So HTML, CSV, standalone viewer. We also have PDF coming out and also exporting VIX data. That's all coming within the next month. In the HTML report, you can see here that everything that's checked are my level 1 tags. Okay, so my tag levels are across the top, and my the captures that we ran are here. So you can see 30 pictures are referenced files. 41 of them were my VIX hash set, 32 of them were my CyberTip images, so on and so forth. But they're already checked in my report to go. I want my summary page, I just click it. I say, I want my operating system information so everybody knows what system it was on, so on and so forth. Maybe I seized a bunch of USB devices. I want that in my report. I just click it. There's no need to go through and bookmark all this stuff. You just click here and it's now in your report. If you did bookmark it, it would automatically be in your report. And if I wanted my web browsing history, so on, so forth. That listing, and then I would just export the report to where I wanted. And I'm going to drag one in and show you in a second. But here, you go out and do one of these scans, and then the attorneys are like, that's fine and well, you collected all this information, you made a decision, but what else was on the computer? So I could come in here, go to CSV, and turn everything off here, and go to that file listing. This is a listing of every file and folder on the computer. There was 28,434 here, because like I said before, this was just a user's partition. and export that in CSV. And there's the list. It could be sorted through and such. So very simple, a lot of different ways to use the tool. Let me drag in this. And so this is a report that had been exported. There's those level ones, how long the scan took, and all my results down the bottom. Everything that I've asked for over here is there's my operating system information, pops out from the left. And you can see up top, it was Windows 10, and all the information, the install date, referenced files, the VIX one, here, there's the VIX data. Here's my cyber tip images. And while I'm here, here's that picture of the bulldog I was talking about before. So when you're going over this report with your prosecutor or whoever, and you could say, well, there's the picture of the contraband, right? And it was saved in the user profile here. It's his name, it's his profile, it's his, where it was sent, and it was under a category of the victim's name maybe. But then here's all my linked artifacts, and it was a download, and there was recent file entries for it. And this report is further customizable by what columns you want in it, what columns you don't want in it, and such. So that's that. We have the portable viewer, HTML, CSV, PDF is coming in the next couple of weeks, as well as export to VIX, which could also be, we can export for import into other tools should you need it. So very comprehensive, trying to get from that 100% of the data down to the 10% that you're looking for, trying to put the case together on the scene, trying to keep information in the investigator's hands while the computer moves up the line, all things that we can do, very customizable, very comprehensive. If you have any questions, you could fire them through. I see, one was on the version. Yes, 1.3.1 is the latest. I see you lost sound, but it came right back. I'm glad that happened. We answered our polls. I believe there's a data sheet on the tool if you wanted to download it. And thank you, Troy. I am just wrapping up myself here. If there are no questions, I want to thank you for taking the time out. I know you guys are very busy. You all have things to do during the day. But you took it and you spent an hour with me. Again, try adf.com for a 30-day evaluation. Evaluations are 100% supported, 100% functional, and I will run you through a personal one-on-one getting used to the tool should you need to do that. So again, thank you for coming, and we will see you on another one of these soon. Thank you very much.